Hey everyone, it's Zach, and welcome back to the Fish Journal. In today's entry, we're going to be setting up my 150 litre or 40 gallon tropical planted pond. This entire build is fully DIY, so something a little bit different for you guys. This has got to be one of the easiest and one of my favorite setups so far. It's not much to look at right now, but it'll be very functional when it comes to growing plants in the future. The pond itself is made from an old pill filter that had a huge nasty crack in the bottom of it. It was pretty simple to seal. I just used a ton of aquarium safe silicone and it was good as new. The next step was to add a bag of organic potting mix. This would be the base layer for all the plants. I have used this before in other ponds and the plants go absolutely nuts for it. I just gave a little pat down and evened it all out as I poured it in, making sure to spread it into all the nooks and crannies. I made sure to use generic organic compost with absolutely no additives or fertilizers, as these can actually be harmful to the fish over a long period of exposure. These fertilizers and extra additives can actually poison the water instantly, so you need to make sure that you get fully organic compost. To stop any of the organic matter floating up and creating an absolutely huge bacteria bloom, I opted to use a coarse sand as a cap. Doing so means the plants will get the majority of the nutrients and less will leach into the water column. It also makes it a lot easier to plant things since there's a thick substrate for them to hold down into. Just like the compost, you have to flatten it out and make sure all the compost has been covered. Trust me, if you don't, you'll regret this. I did pat down a couple of sections since they were a little bit too high. And to finish capping the compost, I used a layer of nice fine sand. This sand just makes everything look really nice, and if you can't tell already, I have a fixation on fine looking sand. It's now time to start making the centerpiece for the pond. For this, I'm going to be using a black elephant's ear plant. They're also known as Colocasia Black Magic. Fingers crossed I've said that one right. I prepared the pot by adding a layer of newspaper to the bottom, so that none of the potting mix or scoria would fall out. You don't have to be too delicate, just make sure it covers the bottom drainage hole. Next up was the scoria stones. This is mainly just a filler layer and gives a little bit more nutrients for the plant to eat up. Finally, I got a set of spare hands to hold the plant as I poured some fine gravel to keep it in place. Thanks Dad, appreciate it. Now it's time to pop it in the pond. I did make sure to wet everything just before I put it in, just to make sure that there wasn't any unstable spots that were going to tip it over. I just gave it a good push down and now it's time to fill the pond completely up. I did start manually filling this, but I ended up just opting for my little bottle filler just to make sure it wasn't moving the sand and everything around and clouding the water up. Oh, and is that the handsome devil himself? Wait, does that technically count as a face reveal now? I didn't record this part since it was a bit of a pain to do, but I added a large mat of watergrass that I found in a swampy area of my local town. This is going to grow in very nicely and add some much needed cover and hiding spots for the 4 beautiful fish that I'm about to add. I did grab my trusty net and clean up all the loose bits of grass just to make sure it looked a little bit nicer, and we don't particularly want organic matter floating around, do we? The final step to finishing up this pond was to add the 4 brand new residents. I'm adding 4 angelfish, 2 black angels and 2 silver angels. All 4 of these were personally hand raised by myself, from birth, and honestly it's one of the most rewarding processes I've ever been through. I started out as I normally do. I floated the bag, and as per usual I just added a small amount of water every few minutes until they were ready to be fully added themselves. It's a bit hard to see from the clip, but you can just make out the 4 of them swimming amongst the grass and having such a great time. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, a nice short sweet little DIY video for you. I will be making an update when I can amongst a few new projects I have lined up for this year. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this video. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to get some feedback and let me know what more DIY projects you guys want to see. If you want to keep up with all the future updates and other tanks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And thank you all for watching, and until next time, happy fish keeping everyone.